Right, hi guys, so this is a video, this is the top 5 red flags to look out for when you're quoting garden maintenance. And it's going to be a countdown from 5 to 1, with 1 being, in my opinion, the biggest red flag. So this is off the back of a video that I put out, and I went against basically everything I do with a new customer. So I chased the customer, he didn't turn up, blah blah blah. You can watch the video. So I thought, well, I'll do a video with my 5 biggest red flags. So in at number 5 is a customer who is either unresponsive, or if you turn up, they're not in. So if they're not in, I think 99% of us would just sack them off. Absolute time waster, yeah? I think we'd all agree on that one. Sometimes they're kind of unresponsive, they don't get back to you straight away, and it just gives you a bad feeling. It's all about kind of vibes and feelings when you go to do a garden, as well as obviously assessing the garden. You're assessing the customer as well, that goes without saying. You're almost kind of, you know, if you do take on the garden, you're trialing them a little bit as well. So a customer who is unresponsive basically isn't giving you the courtesy, really, I would say. And you know, they don't really respect or appreciate maybe the job that you're doing and the job that we do. It's not easy. And yeah, I think personally that's just quite a big red flag, but it's in at number 5, so not the biggest. So in at number 4 is dogs and general kind of untidiness, pets, mostly dogs. So I have walked off a few gardens where there's been dog poo and it's just been caked. I don't mind picking the odd bit up if the customer kind of is generally alright. You know, if they're making an effort and just miss the odd bit, I've got no problems about picking it up, because, you know, that's life. People make mistakes and miss things, and that's absolutely fine. But this list is all about kind of looking for things before you take over a garden. I might do another video where kind of you've taken over a garden and it's maybe not quite as it seems, or you've got to kind of watch out for certain things, and as I say, you're kind of trialing them a little bit as well. But this is before you take over the garden, so when you go into quote for the job. So I always ask if you got pets, if you got a dog, because chances are the dog will be pooing outside. If they say yes, you want to do quite a thorough inspection of the grass there and then. Now, you would like to think if a customer is taking on a gardener, they will ramp up their efforts in terms of picking the poo up. But what you want to do is just have a little look just to see how good they are generally at picking the poo up. And if there are kind of bits dotted around, you know, you've got to make a judgment call then. And that may well affect your price. And what I'll do, if I do have to pick up more than a few bits, I'll stick a tenner on the price, with the kind of the idea of, if this keeps happening, you know, I'm going to drop the garden. And you know, some people have a zero tolerance policy as well when it comes to dog poo. They might mow around it or just sack the garden off straight away, no kind of second chances, and I completely get that. Why should we have to pick up, you know, other people's poo, not people's poo, dog poo? It's just, yeah, it's not on. General untidiness as well might also be an issue, because you may have to kind of move things from the garden, so that, you know, do they have kids toys? Which is fine, that's not untidiness, but that all kind of comes into you thinking of, you know, how much you're charging, how much of a hassle is it going to be, really. So number 3, and this is kind of a big no-no for me from the start, and it would kind of make or break taking on a garden now, given that I'm busy and pretty much full, is access issues, or people kind of who insist on being there. Just checking my notes. Yeah, so people who insist on like kind of being there, and, you know, start giving you kind of their diary, say, well, you can't come on such and such a day because I'm out, blah blah blah. As soon as they start telling us that, I kind of switch off and just think, look, it's my time, it's my diary, it's my gardening round. You will fit into my, you know, my week, sort of thing. And that might sound harsh, but I'm sure if you've been doing this a long time, you'll probably agree with us. If, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, my kind of response will be something like, Well, I do need kind of free rein, freedom to come and go. Obviously, I always say, and it's a valid point, I always say when it rains, which it undoubtedly will, I need that freedom to be able to kind of move jobs about. So if I'm restricted, then it's not going to work, basically. You know, it's unrealistic. People have got to understand kind of how busy you are, two, the kind of job it is. It's not an easy job doing sort of however many gardens a day you're doing, especially when the weather's against you and you have to swap jobs about or work weekends. You know, no one wants to be doing that necessarily. So people have got to appreciate it, basically, and you want to work for people who appreciate it. You don't want to work for people who are kind of like, you know, just expect you to do things kind of beyond what you're capable of or what's realistic. So yeah, that's a big one. In at number 2 is clock watchers. People who are basically, when you turn up to do the garden, they tell you how long it's going to take you. It's like, no, I'm sorry. That's a massive red flag for me, and I'll almost certainly not do the garden. For a number of reasons. When people tell you this, they've obviously been doing their garden, and they're probably not going to have the gear you've got. Your gear is probably going to be really good gear that allows you to do the job well and do it fast. You know, their little electric strimmer is going to take a hell of a lot longer than your petrol one. Their kind of whatever lawnmower isn't going to be particularly good when it's damp or wet. So their expectation of how long the job should take is probably going to be completely different to the reality of how long that job will take, and they'll be kind of mulling over, you know, a price in their head. It's going to probably be the old pay by the hour kind of scenario in their head. It's going to take them however long. I'm only going to pay this amount. It all kind of that all kind of comes into play with certain customers, and you don't really want to be working for them, to tell you the truth. So when people say that, I don't really kind of give much of a response. They're probably set in their way of thinking. You know, again, it depends on how things are said. It's context, isn't it? If kind of the customer seems really pleasant and nice, they might just not be kind of what's the right phrase really without sounding harsh. They might not necessarily understand. They might be a bit kind of not switched on about what it entails in a nice way, and so you just have to kind of educate them a little bit, you know, and just kind of say, well, you know, I've got all petrol battery gear or whatever. I don't need any access to the house. You know, my gear is good. It won't take us quite as long as that. I never like to let on how long it's going to take us, because people then have an idea of how much they should be paying you. So my theory is, if you're investing in like really good gear, you shouldn't be penalised for going quicker, essentially. So I'll end that point there. That's a massive red flag. So in at number 1, and do let me know in the comments, you know, your own red flags. There's so many. I've obviously missed loads out. So let me know your biggest red flags, and let me know if you agree with us here. The biggest red flag is, and I'll have a drink to keep in suspense, is my last gardener charged, or I had a gardener who did this. You know, basically any story about a previous gardener is a huge red flag. And don't get us wrong, you know, I do meet lots of customers, and customers have told us over the years that the last gardener was rubbish, basically, and you know, they basically stopped coming or whatever. But a lot of the time, it's like my gardener used to charge like a £5 to cut the grass, or he was here for like, used to charge like £7 an hour, and it's instantly right, see you later. Yeah, I mean, it could be kind of someone who is just doing a bit of extra work, kind of to top up the pension, or, you know, look, don't get us wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not great for people running, you know, a full-on gardening business, but people have got to do what they've got to do, you know, to get by. And if kind of, you know, someone who's been working all their life and have kind of retired, if they want to take on a few gardens kind of on a weekend, who am I to say anything, do you know what I mean? Just to keep himself active or keep himself going or whatever, keep a bit extra, top his pension, as I say, her pension. You know, who am I to say, but customers want things on the cheap at the end of the day, you know, a lot of customers do, and you've got to kind of weed them out and go with people who, you know, respect you, respect the work you're doing, and are happy to pay, you know, a fair price, not an expensive price, a fair price for the work you're doing. So any stories of, you know, my gardener used to do this for £10 or whatever, used to cut my hedge for £10, stay clear of them. Let us know. You must have loads of red flags. Get them in the comments. It'll be interesting to read through. Check out the channel, like, subscribe, blah blah blah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Cheers. Bye.